Hey, big sis. Borrowed your cheap necklace. Don't worry. It's not like you wear jewelry anyway. That was the text I received from Tyler, my own brother, while I was sitting in front of my laptop, buried in the company's quarterly reports. I had to read it twice to make sure I wasn't seeing things. A short message, written in that all too familiar mocking tone, half playful, half dismissive, as if he truly believed I couldn't possibly own anything of value in my jewelry box. And that last line, it's not like you wear jewelry anyway, hit the same nerve Tyler and his girlfriend, Emma, never missed a chance to press my body. I'm Victoria Sterling, 38 years old, plus size. And to them, that meant unfeminine, undesirable, and never meant to shine. They used to laugh openly about it. Vic, you'd look better in black. It's slimming. Or worse, Emma throwing her head back in a party, giggling. Imagine Vic in a bodycon dress. The poor fabric wouldn't survive the night. Those words, meant as jokes, cut deeper than they ever realized. To them, my weight was the perfect excuse to dismiss everything else I had achieved. What Tyler and Emma didn't know, or rather, never cared to ask, was that I wasn't just the fat sister living quietly in a modest city loft. I am the owner of a luxury jewelry house worth tens of millions of dollars. A legacy I've spent 8 years building and expanding. But because I drive an old Prius and don't drape myself in designer gowns, they assumed my life was nothing to take seriously. When I read the phrase cheap necklace glowing on my phone screen, I didn't just see a careless mistake, I saw a pattern of disregard. Tyler never asked what I did for a living, how I afforded my home, or what I had accomplished. All he saw was a sister he considered too big, single, and unworthy of anything worth protecting. And now, he had touched something he absolutely shouldn't have. What I didn't realize at that moment was that his text would ignite a storm. A storm not just about a necklace worth millions of dollars, but about pride, betrayal, and the most painful lesson Tyler would ever learn. Before I tell you what happened next, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment letting me know where you're listening from. Because by the end of this story, I promise you'll remember sometimes the sweetest revenge doesn't come from a courtroom, but from forcing the one who belittled you to finally face the truth. I rushed to my bedroom, heart pounding so loud it drowned out every rational thought. My jewelry box sat exactly where it always did, on the dresser by the window. At first glance, everything seemed untouched: the pearl earrings from mom, the vintage bracelet from grandma, the plain gold chain I wore to work. But when I slid open the blue velvet compartment in the back corner, my stomach dropped. It was empty. That was where I kept the salon sapphire necklace. Not just any necklace, a one-of-a-kind piece. 18-carat white gold, a 15-carat sapphire in the center, circled by over 8 carats of diamonds. A piece insured for $2.2 million, and Tyler thought it was cheap. I sank onto the edge of my bed, my phone still in my hand, staring at his text like it might rewrite itself. Cheap necklace. He hadn't just stolen from me, he had confirmed, in the most brutal way, what I'd always suspected. To him, I wasn't the CEO of a luxury brand, the guardian of a multi-million-dollar legacy. I was just his big sister Vic, the one who was too heavy, too single, too plain to be taken seriously. But if Tyler thought he could waltz into my home, take what wasn't his, and laugh about it, He was about to learn that I play by very different rules. I opened my laptop, my fingers flying across the keys as I pulled up the Sterling Luxury Inventory database. The record glowed on the screen, item no 4439, Salon, Sapphire, and Diamond Necklace. Current location, Victoria Sterling's personal safe for appraisal photos. I wasn't just looking at numbers, I was staring at a felony. I didn't hesitate. I dialed James Morrison, our head of security. He picked up on the second ring. James, it's Victoria. I need to report a theft. There was a pause. Miss Sterling, what's been taken? Inventory item number 4429, the Salon Sapphire necklace. I could hear him typing. The piece you brought home for the insurance appraisal. That's the one? It's gone. His voice hardened instantly. That's grand theft. Victoria, $2 million isn't borrowing. Who took it? I looked down at Tyler's smug text, the smiling emoji at the end like a punch to the face. My brother? James exhaled sharply. Then this isn't a family squabble. It's a criminal act. What do you want me to do? Within minutes, James had already escalated the report. His tone on the phone left no room for hesitation. Victoria, this isn't a misunderstanding. It's grand theft. We'll coordinate with LAPD immediately. By the time I forwarded Tyler's text about his reservation at Charleron, the wheels were already in motion. Charleron wasn't just any restaurant, it was one of the city's most exclusive dining spots. The kind of place where every table seemed to host a celebrity, a politician, or a Fortune 500 executive. Tyler had chosen it to impress Emma. Ironically, it was where his arrogance would collapse. I pictured him walking in, Emma on his arm, that necklace glittering under the chandeliers. To every other diner, he must have looked like a man of means. To me, he looked like a criminal wearing my company's crown jewel as a party trick. As I sat in my office waiting for the call, my phone buzzed. It was James again. His voice was clipped. Units are en route. They'll move in before the entrees hit the table. I almost felt sorry for him when the update finally came. It was exactly as I imagined. Tyler barely had time to order wine before plain clothes officers closed in. Witnesses later described the scene in vivid detail. Emma gasped so loudly, half the restaurant turned. She tried to laugh it off, saying the necklace was obviously fake, even joking that I, her big sis-in-law, couldn't possibly afford the real thing. Her words only fueled the humiliation. Patrons pulled out their phones, capturing photos as Tyler was handcuffed, the sapphire still gleaming under the crystal light. The arrest of a man in a tailored suit. Wearing a necklace worth more than most houses, it spread through the dining room like wildfire. Whispered questions, cameras flashing, murmurs of $2 million rising like smoke. When James called me again, his words were steady, but edged with gravity. He's in custody. LAPD confirmed it's being treated as felony grand theft. Do you want to press full charges? I stared at Tyler's texts once more, the smirking assumption that I had nothing worth stealing. I thought of Emma's shallow laughter, the years of condescension, the body shaming disguised as jokes. Yes, I said coldly, press full charges. Treat it exactly as you would if it were a stranger. The precinct was buzzing when I arrived. Friday nights always were, but my eyes scanned past the drunk tourists and petty thieves until they found Detective Martinez. Mid-40s, sharp-eyed, calm in the way only someone used to white-collar crime could be. He extended his hand. Miss Sterling, Your brother's been asking for you. I followed him down a narrow hallway until we stopped at a heavy grey door. Interview room 2. He opened it, and there was Tyler, slouched in a chair, wrists cuffed to the table, still in the same crisp shirt he'd worn to dinner. For the first time, he looked small, like a boy caught sneaking candy instead of a man who just committed grand theft. When he saw me, his head shot up. Vic, thank God. Can you please tell them this is all a misunderstanding? I sat across from him, folding my hands on the table. A misunderstanding, Tyler. You stole a $2 million necklace. His jaw dropped. 2 million. That's insane. It's just some cheap costume piece you keep in your box. I stared at him. Why would you think that? Because you work at a jewelry store. You're not exactly raking in millions. Vic, I figured it was some knockoff you got through your job. He gave a weak laugh. Come on. Look at you. You don't even wear jewelry. There it was, the casual cruelty. So ingrained, he didn't even realize it. My body, my choices, weaponized into excuses for his arrogance. Tyler, I asked softly, what jewelry store do I work at? He blinked. I don't know. Some boutique downtown. You never talk about work. Have you ever asked? Silence. I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. The Sterling Luxury website gleamed on the screen. The homepage splashed with my photo beside the logo Victoria Sterling, CEO and creative director. Tyler's face went pale. That's you? Yes. You're the CEO? I own it. Grandpa left me the company 8 years ago. His mouth opened and closed like he couldn't find air. All this time, I thought you were just... You live so normal. The Prius, the simple clothes. I have money. I just don't need to prove it to anyone. Before he could respond, Detective Martinez entered, a file in hand. Miss Sterling, as you know, your brother is being charged with grand theft. The item's value makes it a felony. He's looking at up to 3 years in prison. Tyler's head snapped toward me, panic flooding his features. 3 years for borrowing a necklace, for stealing a necklace worth more than most houses. Martinez corrected. His voice was firm, impartial. The court doesn't care that you're family. They care about value. I was going to give it back. Tyler protested. After the date, tomorrow morning, I leaned forward, my voice low and cutting. You took a $2 million piece to a public restaurant to impress your girlfriend. What if someone had stolen it from you? What if you'd lost it? What if Emma decided she wanted to keep it? You had no idea what you were playing with. His shoulders slumped. He looked like a man finally realizing the ground beneath him was gone. Miss Sterling, Martinez said, you have the right to drop the charges. But even if you do, the DA might still choose to prosecute, given the value. They may not let this slide. I looked at Tyler, my brother, my blood sitting there in cuffs, eyes wide with fear, and for the first time, truly seeing me, not the fat sister, not the invisible one at family dinners, but the woman whose empire he had nearly destroyed with a single reckless act. Detective Martinez closed the file and gave us space, though I could feel his eyes still watching from the corner window. Tyler leaned toward me, desperation written all over his face. Vic, please, he whispered. Don't let them do this. I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't know. I had no idea. I let the silence stretch long enough for him to squirm in the cuffs. Finally, I spoke. Tyler, in 35 years of your life, not once have you asked me what I actually do. Not once have you wondered how I afford my home, my work, my life. Instead, you've assumed, you've mocked, you've called me Big Vic, laughed with Emma about how no dress could ever fit me. And now, you've stolen from me because you thought I had nothing worth protecting. He winced, his eyes dropping to the table. I I was wrong. Yes, I said coldly. You were. He swallowed. I'll pay you back. I laughed, a bitter sound that made him flinch. With what? Tyler, you sell pharmaceuticals and you just blew $300 on dinner to impress a girl. Do you even understand the scale of what you've done? That necklace wasn't just a trinket. It was 6 months of design, sourcing, and craftsmanship. It represented my team's livelihood, and you reduced it to a joke. He looked up at me then, eyes wet. Then tell me what to do. Please, I'll do anything. I studied him for a long moment. The brother who'd once pulled my pigtails as a kid, who now sat shackled because he couldn't see beyond his own arrogance. Part of me wanted to let the law chew him up, to watch him taste the consequences he deserved. But another part colder, sharper saw an opportunity. You have two options, I said evenly. Option 1, you face the charges. Grand theft, up to 3 years in prison. You'll carry that record for the rest of your life. His face drained of color. What's option 2? You work for me? He blinked. What, 6 months? Entry level, minimum wage? You'll scrub workshop tables, manage inventory, handle clients who don't care who you are. You'll learn exactly what it takes to create something worth $2 million. And you'll learn to respect the work behind it. Minimum wage. His voice cracked. You stole because you assumed the necklace was worthless. Now you'll discover the value of work, real work. No shortcuts. No excuses. He shook his head, torn between humiliation and relief. And if I refuse, I leaned closer, letting my words cut through the stale precinct air. Then you go to prison, Tyler. Simple as that. The silence that followed was thick. He searched my face for mercy, but found only resolve. Finally, he whispered, I'll do it. I'll work for you. Good? I stood, smoothing my jacket. Then remember this moment. You won't be working for your sister. You'll be working for your CEO. And I expect results. Monday morning arrived earlier than Tyler expected. At 6:45 a.m., he was already standing outside the Sterling luxury workshop, looking out of place in his pressed slacks and expensive shoes. I watched from the mezzanine above, arms crossed, as he shifted nervously under the gaze of craftsmen who had been there since dawn. To them, he wasn't my brother. He was the new higher minimum wage, entry level, no exceptions. Take those off, I said, pointing at his shoes when I finally walked down. He frowned. What? This isn't an office. It's a workshop. You'll ruin them in an hour. Put on the boots. That first week, I assigned him to polishing metal frames, tedious, repetitive work that left his hands raw and aching. He cursed under his breath more than once, but every time he looked up, he saw me watching. Not as a sister, as his boss. The second week, I moved him to inventory management. He spent hours counting gemstones under bright lights, logging serial numbers, matching paperwork with physical pieces. I could see the dawning horror in his eyes as he realized how many checks, how many details, how much responsibility went into keeping a single necklace safe. By the third week, he was shadowing our jewelers. He watched a master setter spend 12 hours placing tiny diamond accents into a custom ring, the kind of work that sold for $500,000. Tyler didn't joke that day. He didn't speak at all. The shift came slowly, but it came. I noticed it one evening when I walked past the workshop. He was still there, long after his shift, sweeping the floors. The same man who used to laugh at me for staying late at the office was now scrubbing without complaint. 6 weeks in, I caught him staring at a sketch pinned to the design board, a sapphire pendant in progress. "It's beautiful," he muttered, almost to himself. I raised an eyebrow. "Cheap jewelry, you mean?" His shoulders sagged. I was an idiot. I didn't smile. I didn't forgive him then and there. But I filed it away. The lesson was working. By the third month, he had stopped asking when his sentence would end. He showed up on time. He listened. He even began defending me to others. When Emma dropped by the workshop once, making a snide remark about my weight in front of the staff, Tyler snapped, "If you can't respect her, you don't belong here." Emma stormed out. He didn't follow. For the first time, I believed he was beginning to understand respect is not given freely. It's earned. And I had made sure he earned every ounce of it. 6 months later, I stood in the private showroom of sterling luxury, sunlight streaming through the glass cases, scattering rainbows across the floor. The salon's sapphire necklace, the very piece that once triggered betrayal, rested elegantly on its velvet display. This time, Tyler stood beside me, no longer the reckless brother who mocked me, but an employee who had learned every painstaking detail of what it took to create beauty from raw stone. When the collector signed the check, 2.4 million, Tyler was the one who carried the case to the client's hands. His eyes met mine across the room, and for the first time, there was no arrogance, no dismissal, only respect. I realized then that revenge doesn't always have to be destruction. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is transformation, forcing the person who belittled you to witness your strength and to grow stronger themselves because of it. For me, the necklace became more than jewels. It was a symbol of pride, of self-worth, and of the freedom I had carved for myself in a world that once tried to measure me by my size. I no longer needed validation. I had reclaimed it, and I had forced Tyler to face the truth. Value is not in appearances, but in integrity. And that is the lesson I leave with you. If this story struck a chord with you, don't just click away, smash that like button, subscribe for more powerful stories, and share your own experience in the comments below. Let's build a community where no one's worth is defined by their size, their past, or by the people who doubted them. And when you're ready for another tale of betrayal and sweet revenge, click the next story, I promise. You won't want to miss it.